So about more than 10 years ago, I took a flight to Uganda, and I got in a van, and this van took me up the road to Gulu. And it was a really difficult trip because there was a war going on. There was a genocide happening in northern Uganda at the time. And they took me up there, and I was to meet a group called Sports Outreach and my friend Rodney Suddeth. And they met me at an IDP camp. And what an IDP camp is, that is an internal refugee camp. And that's where they take people that the government doesn't feel like they can protect. So they put them in a refugee camp in country. And there were thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And I'm an epidemiologist. So an epidemiologist looks at health and human disease. And sometimes I know a little bit more than I should know about health and disease. So I'm on this trip, and they drop me off in this IDP camp, and I meet up with the other group. And I'm just absolutely overwhelmed, because you're looking around and there's just death and despair and hopelessness and poverty to the lowest degree that you can imagine. It was pretty extraordinary. And after we spent the day there, they took me back to the hotel that night, and we started to debrief a little bit about what we'd seen. And I was pretty frustrated and pretty overwhelmed about what I'd seen. And I said to Rodney, I said, Rodney, what can I do? There's thousands and thousands of people there, and I'm just one person. And that's when Rodney said, hey, you just help one. And I was reminded of this story because this week, my assistant Natalie and I went to a breakfast, and it's a breakfast about poverty. And we're working with a group called Community Connected and trying to deal with some of the poverty in Lynchburg. Lynchburg has a really high poverty rate, over 25%. And the speaker that day was John Katov, and he's the head of something called Open Table. And this is a concept where you get people together that try to lift people out of poverty. And what he said that was so meaningful to me was that if you just get one out of poverty, you truly change the cycle of that group. So that person then gets out of poverty, and then their family never gets into poverty. So their daughter doesn't get into poverty, their son doesn't get into poverty, their children don't get into poverty. And so now you're helping generations of people, and by helping one person and getting one person out of poverty, you can actually help thousands of people long term. And so you're planting seeds that you won't ever see the growth of these seeds, but you're changing the lives. And so that was the message that Rodney taught me that day in Africa. That was the message that was reinforced on Monday. And the message is, hey, you as one person can absolutely change the world. And sometimes it's just being present, it's showing up, and it's being there, and it's making a difference. Thanks.